Good morning, lovers. Anthea here. Welcome to live number 21. And I'm just reflecting. I'm sitting here and I was like, oh, so many things to talk about. So many things to talk about, especially in relationships and connections and inner child stuff. So if you're just jumping on, drop me a hello. Let me know you're here. Hi, Peter. I also thought maybe today, hey, Willow, beautiful. I also thought maybe today I would open up and just let you guys share with me what you would like me to talk about. What would you like to talk about today? Hi, Sanj Neil. I hope I'm saying your name right. What would you like to talk about today? You know, I've been thinking a lot about the inner child in the last couple of days, and I've been talking to a lot of people, especially some of my friends who are, you know, I have some friends who haven't been in a long-term relationship in a really long time. And we were having, you know, I was talking to one of my friends the other day about long-term relationships and how we relate with each other, right? And actually this morning I was talking to my girlfriend. We're talking about how what we're both starting to see in our own relationships and as we talk with others is that people are starting to realize that we've been conditioned in a certain way in relationships. We've been conditioned to believe that it's our responsibility to take care of the other person's needs and emotions, and we have to be obliged to do things with people, and we have to see them all the time and be in each other's pockets. And so as I was talking with my girlfriend this morning, we were saying how we've all become so independent, which I think is a really healthy thing for us to become independent, right? And we're all taking care of our own needs and we're all taking care of our own emotions. And that's enough responsibility, right? That's enough. It's enough to take care of, right? And if you meet someone and they're asking you to take care of them as well, then it's going to get quite intense and overwhelming, right? And it's not really your responsibility to take care of anybody else's emotional state. And this is something that I believe in my generation at least, we've been conditioned to believe that it's our responsibility. And so people spend years in these relationship dynamics with others that don't serve them, but actually hinder them, right? And, you know, I'm curious to know if you're finding that as well. Are you guys having these experiences as well where you are finding that people are placing this pressure on you or their burdens on you and asking you to be responsible for that? So Sajnil, I hope I'm saying your name right, he's saying long-term relationships don't last long nowadays, so much trust issues. Yeah, well, look, yes, there is a lot of people with trust issues, and I think that can be worked through, right? Given you meet someone who is willing to move slowly with you. So let's talk about trust issues for a second, right? So with trust issues, someone with trust issues would have a very strong defensive armor. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are arrogant and defensive and portray this kind of persona. That doesn't mean that at all. What that means is that this person who has trust issues, right, to their previous experiences in relationships, because that's what it all comes down to, needs time to remove the layers of the defensive armor. This person with trust issues needs to experience this slow, almost like a snail-paced movement, right, in order for them to be able to trust again. Yeah. So I want to give you this example because When we meet people, we've been conditioned to dive right in, right? Let the fireworks, experience the fireworks and the sparks and the passion. And of course, that's delicious, right? It's so delicious. Who wouldn't want that? But, and I was talking with someone yesterday about this, but in my experience at least, the more fiery and passionate it starts off, the quicker it fizzles out and it dies, right? And that's can be really painful, right? Because when you have all that passion and the fire at the start, well, you're going to burn through some stuff. That's what the fire does at the start. And it's of course, it'd be nice if you had a balance, right? But in my experience, at least, that's what doesn't last. So anyway, let me give you this example. So I moved into this house with my boyfriend at the time. This was like 15 years ago, right? And I went outside one night and I saw I went outside one night to feed my cats, and the cats ate, they left some food in their bowl, and then I see this tiny little skinny, scrawny looking cat come and eat their food. And initially I thought to kind of scare him off, but as I looked closer, he looked like he was about to die because he was so skinny. He looked like he hadn't eaten in weeks, months even, right? And I was like, oh my God, this poor little thing. So I went and got him more food and water, and I was trying to get close to him, right? I was trying to let me touch him. And he wouldn't let me. And I'd go to touch him and he'd be like this. He'd pull back because he was scared. He was really scared of me. And so I was like, okay, he's not ready for my affection yet. He's not ready for my love that I want to give him in this moment, because I feel this intense desire to love him because he has trust issues. Now, for me, I was like, initially and intuitively, I was like, this cat has been traumatized. He hasn't just been homeless. He's been either physically abused or yelled at or emotionally abused, right? And so I knew that it was going to take time. And so the next day I went out again and I fed him again, and he came a little closer. I still wouldn't let me touch him. And I think it was by day 5 or 6 that he eventually let me just pat him, like here in between the eyes. And that night I sat outside with him for hours, and I just sat there. And he would go and come back and go and come back. And I sat there until he eventually let me hold him. And once he let me hold him, right? Because when he was ready, not when I was ready, when he was ready, he came to me. And when he eventually let me hold him, he fell in my arms. And he did not want me to let him go. Yeah? But he had his defensive armor. Because he was like, who is this chick? Is she going to hurt me like the last people did? Right? Now, when I let him into the house, he knew exactly where to go. He'd lived there. And I believe he'd been abandoned by his previous owners. But then once he came in and he got a taste of my love and my affection, he didn't want it to stop. And so he was always at the door, always crying to come in. He wanted to sleep with me. He went, right? And people are like that too, right? And we've got to really understand that, especially Sajnel, as you're saying, like when people have trust issues, well, we've got to understand that they've been wounded. They've experienced severe pain. And if we're really interested in this person, if we really want to get to know someone and we see them as someone we would like to explore that with, then we're going to have to be really patient. Yeah? And I get it. I get that, at times when we meet people, we're like, we want to dive in. We want to get to know them. We want to we want to move things along. But it's really important to lay down foundations so that person can see that you're actually someone they can trust. You're not like the rest of the people. You're not going to hurt them in the way that they've been hurt before. And the reality is that we can't actually be 100% sure that we're never going to hurt anyone. But what we want to do is we want to be able to create something safe so that if we do actually hurt someone, then it's not going to kind of scare them off. We want to create something where if we do hurt someone, then they have the ability to say, hey, that really hurt me because of da 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 da, right? And so I think relationships also don't last because we don't know how to communicate anymore. Well, I don't think we've ever learned how to communicate, right? I think it's really important to learn how to communicate and express yourself and set boundaries and be mature. So something that I talk a lot about in my work with my clients is the fact that a lot of us haven't emotionally developed beyond the age of 15. We don't have emotional maturity to be able to create a really strong and long-term healthy relationship with someone, right? Because what happens is in relationships is when people get triggered, right? So let's say I trigger my partner, and then they're triggered, and then now we're both in like our 15-year-old wounds and we're trying to sort it out. We've just got two triggered people who are talking from the core of their wounds, right? That doesn't lead to anything productive. It just leads to damage and arguing and chaos, yeah? And so this is where you know, like this is when I've done a really great video about this. I think it's called Relationship Dynamics. It's on my YouTube channel. So if you're on my YouTube channel, I'll put the link in the comments after I finish, right? Where I talk about the importance of removing yourself when you're triggered and going away and doing the inner work and coming back to your partner and going, hey, this is what happened for me, and da-da-da-da-da, right? Communicating and taking responsibility for your own emotions. And I think that's really, really important, you know. And I was saying to my girlfriend this morning, we're both saying that, you know, she's in a same gender relationship, right? And she's really independent, and her partner's really independent too. And they may go days, sometimes a week, without seeing each other because they're both living their lives. But when they come together, right, it's really beautiful and it's really intimate, and they don't have to be in each other's pockets all the time. There's no obligation to you have to come to my family events and I have to come to yours. Yeah, it's not like that. And I think we're going to start to see next year, especially, I feel with Venus ruling the whole year, I feel like we're going to start to see a big shift in relationship dynamics where people are starting to understand that it's two individuals coming together to create something really unique and wonderful. But where two people don't lose themselves in the chaos of a relationship anymore. That's not what it should be about. And I think the reason why a lot of people in my generation are single parents and they're divorced is because I feel like we're going through that to evolve. Yeah, that's what I really believe. And I see it in the children around me, the children I'm raising and other people's children. These children are independent, strong, powerful human beings. They're not the type of people who would get into relationship dynamics and hold and take responsibility for other people's emotional breakdowns and emotional instability and emotional wounds, right? And so I think that's what we've come here to do. I think we've come here to transform that. And I think we're going to start to see that next year, right? So Willow's saying not your responsibility to reparent others, it's theirs. Yeah, that's right. And, you know, if you do the inner work and if you are on this journey of personal development and you're healing yourself and you're healing your inner child, which is at the core of where everything is at, right, then you want a partner who's done the same. Yeah, you don't want someone who's going to pull you into their chaos and their storms and leave you there, because that's essentially what will happen. So for all my givers out there, you can give, but just be careful that you're not rescuing or trying to rescue or trying to fix or change, or, you know, really important that if you can't just accept someone for who they are right now without them changing, maybe they're not your person. Yeah, this is why it's really important to take your time getting to know people and to see explore, ask questions, get to know them, see if this person is someone you want to get into a relationship with. And that might take months. It might take you months and weeks of dating for you to get to know someone and decide, we get along. There's mental connection there. There's an emotional connection. There's a really good physical connection. All right. Or there's all those things there, and I like who they are as a person. And, you know, I can see where we can work together to heal and grow and develop, right? There's all these things that come into it. Are they fun? Do they bring out the best in you? Do you bring out the best in them? Can you be yourself around them? You can't just get all this in a couple of weeks. It takes time to get to know someone, right? So explore that. So I just want to acknowledge the people that are here. Hey, Nissa. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Simon. Chris. Kayla. Magd. Hilary. Jill. Thank you all for watching. So I hope that this has helped in some way. It's definitely been something I've been talking a lot with a lot of people this week about, you know, what does that actually mean? How do I want to show up? How do I want to relate with people, with a man? How do I want to relate with a man? How do I want to relate with a woman? What does that look like to you? What are the things that are important? So I'll tell you, the things that are important for me are freedom. I want ultimate freedom in a relationship. And that doesn't mean being involved with other people, not at all. It means freedom to be myself, to be a full expression of who I am. Freedom for my partner to be a full expression of who they are. Freedom to explore and talk about whatever I want to talk about. Yeah. The other things that are important to me are to be seen and to be heard. And I love having deep and intimate conversations. Like, I love talking about deep stuff, but I also like talking about silly stuff and laughing, right? And being very lighthearted and fun. And one thing that I've noticed lately is when I talk to people, I like to notice how I feel when I'm talking to them. And something that I've realized that's really important for me is recognizing especially when I'm talking to a man that I'm interested in, is how I soften. Do I soften when I'm talking to them, right? Do I soften when I'm talking to a man? Because that means I can drop into my feminine really easily. And I think that's really beautiful, to be able for a woman to soften and to drop into her feminine really easily, and for a man to drop into his masculine really easily, right? Which is something that should come naturally to us, but sometimes it doesn't. Yeah? Sometimes it doesn't. And I think the other thing that's really important is someone who brings out your inner child, right? Who makes you curious. And you're like, oh, I'm curious about this person. You know, like kids, and they're like, do you want to go play? Hey, so what's your favourite colour? What's your favourite food? That's what kids do. And I like being in that energy, especially in my relationships with men. I think it's important to be playful, right? So what is important to you? I ask you this, what is important to you when you connect with a lover or someone you're really interested in getting to know better? What's important to you? Yeah? How do you feel when you're around them? And can you have silence? Because that's important too. To be able to sit next to someone or to sit on the phone with someone and have a moment of silence or moments of silence is also really important. Yeah, and I think too, like, because I talk a lot in my work and I listen a lot in my work, I listen to a lot of people talking. Sometimes I want to be still in the silence. And if you're coming at me constantly with, you want to talk, you want to do this, you want a constant communication, that's going to shut me down, right? And my friends know that too. Some of my friends, I'm like, you know what? I don't have the space for this right now. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go. They know. So thank you, Sanjil. Thank you for your comment about my hair. I like it too, actually. Willow's saying that I feel like I can be authentically me. Yes, whatever that may look like, and vice versa. Yes, isn't that amazing? To be able to just be you in the moment with someone, even someone brand new that you've never met before, right? And you go on a date and you are there with them and you can just be your true authentic self. It is freeing. Yeah, it is. I find that invigorating. Like, it's just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful experience to have with someone. All right, I think I will leave it there unless there's any other comments. Thank you guys for connecting with me this morning and sharing your time with me. If there is anything you want me to talk more about, drop a comment below and I'll talk about it tomorrow. And, you know, one final thing that I will say is that it's okay if you don't reveal all of who you are to someone, like all of the parts of you to someone straight away, right? So there may be this part of you that's really masculine, and there may be this part of you that's really feminine, and there may be this part of you who is really shy, right? And or really sexual or really romantic. And I think it's okay to be more cautious about sharing all of those parts of you with someone, especially if you have trust issues and you're just getting to know someone. Move at your own pace, but communicate. If someone's important to you, like if you meet someone and you really like them, express that, communicate it, because no one's a mind reader. Nobody knows what you want. Yeah. And keep moving. Keep moving, because you know what? Even though you've experienced hardship and struggles and heartbreak in love, I believe, at least, that as you keep doing the inner work and you keep evolving and you keep becoming clearer about what you want, the universe sends you stronger mirrors. And what I mean by that is it sends you more people that are like you, both in your light and in your shadow. And when you meet these mirrors, you have a really beautiful opportunity to grow through connecting with someone. So I'll leave it there. Sending you guys lots of love.